about themselves more as they're answering the questions. For me, the way that I want to take it from a very chronological order. So most likely we'll start with Professor Adwok, and then we'll go to Victor, then Stephen. I'm making a guess that Stephen is younger than Victor. And then we'll come to the youth leader. I think I'll start with you, Professor. You are someone who's probably like been around the East African community, and you know a lot about the historical, political movement around the continent and also around this region. Maybe I can give you a chance to just talk to me historically about the significance or the evolution of Raila Odinga's thought and his leanings and his ideas and how it led to that. And I think he studied in Germany. You did study in Germany to some extent. Oh, you studied in Eastern Europe. Yeah. So you might maybe just give me a bit of ideas on your thoughts on his evolution and his historical significance and how he became the leader.
This occasion, marking the memory of our fallen brother and political leader, Raila Odinga. He was the son of Jaramogi Odinga, and a man of our age, was born in 1945, like myself, and went to school to the University of Leipzig in DDR, is what used to be called the Eastern Germany. From there he came back and taught in the University of Nairobi because he did mechanical engineering, and was there at the same time also a very industrious man, and had established what they call the African Inspector Africa, which is the factory for manufacturing the cylinders, gas cylinders. Is the supplier of this gas cylinder in East Africa, and I think even up to here in Sudan. Raila, was, I would call him an enigma of the Kenyan politics, multi-party politics. In fact, as Nelson said, I came to, or went to Kenya in 1990. This was the height of Maui's dictatorial rule. But that was the time, of course, that was the height of the ideological struggle between the East and the West, which eventually led to the collapse of the Soviet Union. And this triggered a wind of change in Africa, what you call the multi-party, the advent of multi-party democracy in Africa, and most of the one-party rule in Africa collapsed. Of course, in the Sudan, the one-party rule collapsed in 85. That was the May revolution. It collapsed in 85, but then in 89 we had another one-party in Gas, which still remained until 2000, up to I think 2019. So that was the only remaining one-party rule under the rubric of multi-party, of course, democracy. In March, I think March '92, Moi removed Section 2A in the Constitution of Kenya, which made Kenya a one-party state. And the Kenyans were so upbeat that now we have democracy. And I remember in the University of Nairobi senior staff house, we had a discussion with some of my colleagues who were saying now we are going to have that the one-party thing has been removed, we are going to have democracy. And I was cautioning them, no, it's too early, because the Constitution is from first page up to the last page is one thing. You cannot remove just a part of it and say that things have changed. No, you have to remove the whole thing. So this new situation in Kenya demands a new constitution. Of course, it was in 2010 that they had the new, what they have now as the Constitution of Kenya in 2010. But that was, of course, the parties started to form, and the biggest party to form outside Kano was Ford. And because of politics, this tribal politics, I would say, Kano, which was, Ford, which was now being headed by Jaramogi Odinga, divided, split into Ford Asili and Ford Kenya, because somebody called late Kenneth Matiba said Kenya cannot be ruled by somebody who is not circumcised. Just like our brothers Rek or Marwan, saying that you cannot be ruled by somebody who is not circumcised. So it broke the party and broke the opposition. As a result, Moi won the elections 1992 and again in 1997. In the course of this time, between Raila formed a party called Tinga, the Liberal Democratic Party, and its symbol was the tractor. In 1997, and because of the situation in Kenya, he decided to make a handshake with Moi in order to be able to bring development to Nyanza. That's where his homeland. And of course, he went back into Kano and dissolved the LDP from 1997 until 2002, when, because of Moi wanted Uhuru now to take over from him as the president of Kenya, and those of Raila were struggling like that. Let us have democracy within Kano. There's no way somebody can just appoint an individual in order to become the successor to him. So Raila walked out of Kano with many of the people, die-hard Kano people. And somebody like William Ole Tamama was, what do you call it? What they call the most senior people in Kano. They walked out with Raila and said that without Raila, we would not have walked out from this Kano and this dictatorship. And really that meant that if they continued along the same line of struggling as separate parties, it means that Kano and Uhuru would now win the 2002 elections. So Raila came in to say, no, let us have Kibaki. Because Kibaki was the leader of the Democratic Party, let him, is enough to have one person contesting against Kano in order to be able to bring down Kano. And this is what happened, really, on the condition that in 2007, Kibaki would not contest. It would be now Raila to contest. But of course, what happened is that in 2007, Kibaki again contested and even was sworn in fraudulently by night, you know, after stealing the elections, which was Raila's turn to win. And of course, there was this post-elections violence, which led to the formation of a national government of national unity, which Raila became the Prime Minister, and of course, the elections of 2013, again, he lost to Uhuru. Then, of course, went to court, the court ruled in favor of Uhuru. 2017, again, they contested. He lost in the same pattern of votes being, confused and so on. But then, in 2017, Raila decided to be crowned people's president. And he went to the Uhuru Park in Nairobi, where he was sworn in as. The government was so frightened because it was going to cause some kind of a civil war in the country. So the good thing was that the government withdrew everything and allowed Raila to be sworn in as a people's president. The idea was, of course, to avoid them marching to the State House and taking power by force. Now, and this is one of the characteristics of Raila, that while a good fighter for democracy, he still had the heart for his country. He didn't want to take things too far. And while fighting for this, for the rights, people's rights, he still had the opportunity to offer what you call it, handshake, and they made an handshake with kind of reconciliation with Uhuru in order to have peace in the country, so that people now can sit down and dialogue and have electoral reforms and say that the country doesn't go into chaos. So this is one of the things in Israel, that while fighting, and really a strong fighter for justice, he still had hope in that the country cannot be. And in fact, I try to take some notes because I also I read this book. It's a big book about 1,000 pages. This autobiography called The Flames of Freedom. The Flames of Freedom contains a lot of facts about the struggle in Kenya. And one of these political skills is to make compromises. You make compromises without necessarily losing hope or leaving your principles. How many people can do that? Who can put the country at the top of the denial while still maintaining its principles of freedom? And that's why, as I said before, he had these handshakes first with Moi in order to bring development to Nyanza. Because the thing in Kenya was that if you are in opposition, it means that the people will never get any development funds. And if Kisumu now is a modern town. The first time I went in Kisumu 1994, it was like a village. So you can see that when they made this handshake with, he went into government, he was able to now, they were able to reopen the molasses factory. The molasses factory, which gets its raw material from the sugar cane, and it employed a lot of people in that area. In 2017, 2018, the handshake with Uhuru was now for there to be peace in the country. There shouldn't be, because in Kenya you will recall any demonstration is now turned, it's easily criminalized. It is infiltrated by criminals. People go and break down things, break down shops, break down public utilities, and it loses its political content. In 2024, he made another handshake with Ruto. And this is now to form a government of national unity again, in which, together with devolution and so on, the government was able now to give him a state funeral, a state burial, with all the colors, with all the military colors, and what could be given to a state president. Except that in the gun salute, only had 17 gun salute, led by 2 for former president and 4 led by 4 for a sitting president. So he was more of a politician. I don't want to complete the whole time for myself. More of a politician. He was a Kenyan. He was the Kenyan conscience, a unifying factor, who understood that leadership was not about winning elections, but about preserving the nation's soul. This is a very important thing, because why are you a leader? For yourself or for the country? This is where Raila is different from many of the African leaders. That he promoted dialogue, which is neither because he got defeated, but it also not a betrayal. And I think he was a politician by conviction, guided by principles, and by conviction rather than convenience. I think Raila, with his, he was more tending towards socialism. Socialism, not in the scientific way, but almost along the lines which Nyerere built Tanzania on, where there is social justice for all, where there is fraternity and solidarity for the citizens of and unity of the people of Kenya. I think he will be missed by all of us, and long live the memory of Raila Odinga, Raila Odinga. Thank you very much.